Be Quiet sent over their Silent Loop 120mm. This is obviously a 120m all-in-one liquid cooler. It's actually pretty awesome and we're going to take a look at it in this video, so do stick around. But I do have to say that the temperatures and the noise specifically are fantastic on this. So if you're interested, here's the stats for nerds, I guess. But inside the box you get the cooler itself, a really well laid out instruction guide for all the mounting hardware you get, as well as a nice big tube of thermal paste, 220mm fans, and a 4-pin PWM fan splitter. The actual mount itself, the pump itself, doesn't come with all that much in terms of mounting hardware built in. You sort of attach it all, but you do get a nice and relatively short sleeve 3-pin cable, which is actually pretty cool because generally speaking these cables are really long and sort of cumbersome. You have to hide them out of the way. This one is reasonably short, which is quite nice, but still long enough for most applications. The tubing itself is just normal water cooling tubing with anti-kink coiling wrapped around, which is actually really nice, has some normal fittings, and what looks like a drain port on the side of the pump. You do actually get a fill port on the radiator though, if you want to extend the longevity of the device, which is really nice as these tend to sort of run out a little bit. But yeah, anyway, the radiator itself from top to bottom is 165mm and 45mm thick, so do bear in mind that you need all of that space free in your case. And the mounting hardware, at least for AMD anyway, is a little bit of a pain because you have to put a screw with a spring through and then the sort of a nut through that, and then screw that into the AMD mounting plate, so a little bit of a pain, but once it's in it does look pretty good, which is always nice, the sort of brushed aluminium top and stuff, so that's cool. So as I said, the mounting system isn't quite perfect. It's still a bit of a pain. With the AMD mount, it uses the stock AMD bracket, which means you either have to have two people or a lot of patience to get it to work. I personally prefer the Coolermaster Neptune series mounting system, as it's very simple and you just attach the back plate with some nuts to the motherboard and that sort of thing, so that one's a lot better in my personal opinion. But in terms of temperatures, this thing only scrapes above an H100i by a couple of degrees for the 7860K, with the GPU and CPU being stressed. It's at around 69 degrees, haha. Yeah, the Corsair H100i only sat at around 65 degrees, so not a massive difference between the two, which is awesome. And the thing is that the noise with this was just utterly fantastic. I have two Fantex, basically case fans in the front of my Fantex Center Evolve on a PWM fan controller, and when I disconnected those two fans, I realized that all of the noise from the PC was purely coming from those two fans, not the Be Quiet cooler, which is kind of insane considering how you've got two fans and a pump there versus just two stock case fans that sit at the front of a case. So I was really impressed with the noise output in this, and if you put the side panel on, you literally cannot hear it at all, which is really awesome. Now in terms of kind of scoring here, I'm going to go with basically a 4.5 for everything. It's a really efficient cooler. It's not the best on the planet, but it still does a really good job, and I reckon that it doesn't feel like it was actually being pushed all that hard. Normally when CPU coolers are sort of cooling CPUs that are stress tested, one of the tubes gets quite warm. The fans can ramp up, the pump gets a little bit loud, but this one, the tubes are perfectly, cool room temperature to the touch and all that sort of stuff, even when stress testing, so it feels like I wasn't really properly pushing it at all, so I reckon it has a lot more headroom as well, so that's quite cool. But yeah, other than that, in terms of awards, it's definitely going to get the Gold Award. It is a stylish, powerful, quiet CPU cooler that seems to be pretty good value for money. And this is a launch review, so the actual pricing, the retail pricing hasn't necessarily come out yet, but yeah, despite that, it's a really awesome CPU cooler, and I definitely recommend it if you're checking out a 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler. I believe they have a 240mm version as well, so feel free to check out some other reviews on that as they come out. And yeah, other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. If you want to check this one out and pick it up, there's an Amazon link down below that will help me out if you do buy it from there. And if you're buying anything else on Amazon, please do use the Amazon affiliate links that are down there as well, as I said, it genuinely helps me out and keeps the PC on and that sort of thing, and making these videos. If you do want to help me out, but you don't buy stuff on Amazon, feel free to just subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and say hello. And that sort of thing, and feel free to like this video as well. If you didn't like it, feel free to dislike, but let me know why in the comments down below so that I can improve for next time. And yeah, other than that, I guess that's kind of it. So as I said, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful, and we'll see you all in the next video.